When a 9-year-old girl goes outside in the rain, nobody expects her to disappear for over 2 decades, never to be seen again. No leads, no signs, nothing. Asha Degree was a 9-year-old Christian girl at the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, Waco, North Carolina. She was born in a town called Shelby, also in North Carolina. She frequently played basketball and was a talented player in her school basketball team, Fallston Elementary Bulldogs. She was described as extremely athletic and talented, and would even play in her driveway with her older brother, O'Brien. On February 12, 2000, Asha played in a basketball game. This game was important to her as it was the first game of the season. However, despite her great talent, her and her team lost the game. Basketball deeply mattered to her, so the loss upset her greatly. She blamed herself for the defeat, as she had fouled out during the game. However, as the day progressed, her mood started to improve. She went to her cousin's place to sleep over and came back the next day. Since it was a Sunday, she went to her local church with her family. This day was a normal, happy Sunday. This day was her parents' anniversary. She brought her Tweety Bird purse with her, a purse she had earned at school about 5 days prior for good behavior. When they got home, a severe thunderstorm hit, continuing for hours. At 8:30 p.m., the power would cut out. It would remain off for hours before being regained around 12:30 a.m. At about 6:30 p.m., Asha had went to bed, claiming that she had a headache. After the power outage, she had woken up and stayed in the living room for a short period, before Asha and O'Brien had both decided to turn her to bed around 9 p.m. But Asha's father, Harold Degree, had decided to stay awake and watch television. On February 14, 2000, at around 2:30 a.m., Harold decided to turn in for bed, but he decided to check on O'Brien and Asha first, and they were both sound asleep. At about 3 a.m., Asha quietly got out of bed, grabbed her backpack, and packed it with a variety of belongings. The items include a New Kids on the Block shirt, a Dr. Seuss book, candy, her Tweety Bird purse, a hair bow, a pencil, a marker, jeans, a black vest, and multiple changes of clothes. She then proceeded to grab her backpack and put it over her arms, grab her set of house keys, her umbrella, and step outside in the cold rain and wind. She began to walk away from her home and down the road. After about 30 minutes, she had already walked about a mile away from home. This is when cars started to drive by. They shared their stories about what they saw on the road to the Degree family. The first account comes from a man named Jeff. He claimed to have seen a little girl wearing bright clothing and walking down Highway 18 at about 3:30 a.m. The second account comes from a man named Roy, who was formerly a chef deputy. He was driving with his son and saw who he thought was a short-heightened woman at approximately 4:15 a.m. She was walking down Highway 18 just before the Highway 180 intersection. Roy decided to send out a message to other full-time truck drivers to keep their eyes open for any suspicious activity. He took a U-turn to get a better look at who he was seeing. However, Asha ran off the road and into the trees. This would be the last unconfirmed sighting of Asha Degree. The following morning at 5:45 a.m., the mother, Aquila Degree, wakes her children up to get ready for classes. However, when she walked in, she found O'Brien fast asleep and Asha's bed completely empty. She started to look around the house to find her, every nook and cranny of the house, and yet there were no signs of her presence in the house. Harold then realized her house keys were also missing. They immediately called her grandmother, who lives across from the street, but she claimed that she didn't see Asha or heard from her. Harold and Aquila decided to move up and down the street, screaming Asha's name. After she didn't respond to the desperate and frantic calls, they called the police at 6:39 a.m. They arrived at the scene at 6:45 a.m., and yet they found no leads. That's when they decided that Asha was now a missing person. They then used rescue ops, search dogs, special detectives, and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations. But unfortunately, they were unable to find her. The search dogs couldn't even find her either, as the rain had washed away the scent. They concluded that there were no signs of foul play, forced entry, or forced exit, so the Degree residence was taped off at approximately 2 p.m. Then, the following day on February 15th, a volunteer search team asked Raleigh and Debbie Turner to search through their yards to try and find Asha, since the property was a mile south of Degrees. They happily obliged and opened their shed. They found candy wrappers, a marker, her pencil, as well as a photo of a very young girl. This was evidence that these were artifacts from Asha's backpack as well as evidence that she went through the Turners' property. On February 17th, investigators found more candy wrappers around the Turners' residence. The Turners took everything they could find and turned it over to them. They realized the candy wrappers matched the candy that was handed out to her and the other basketball players on her team. But they realized that the young girl in the photograph did not match Asha at all, according to the Degree family and the basketball team. After days of exhaustive researches, the official search ended on February 20th, 2000. But eventually another clue was found on August 2nd, 2001, a year and a half since Asha vanished. A construction worker named Terry Fleming was etching a driveway on the side of a hill when he claimed to have hit a soft object. He exited his tractor and found something covered in dark plastic. It was a backpack with a name he did not recognize, as well as an address. He wrote the information down and gave the name and address to his wife the following morning. She recognized the info and realized it belonged to Asha Degree. Police discovered the backpack covered in 2 trash bags, which appeared to be intentionally hidden. A new search began on August 15th, 2001, but the terrain and weather made it almost impossible. Another search began on October of 2001, combining a 6-mile radius down Highway 18. They searched from Highway 18 to the backpack location, but still found no leads. In May of 2016, investigators say they've been looking for a 1970s Ford Thunderbird or Lincoln Mark IV with rusty wheels. It's unknown why these cars have any relation to Asha, but it's still a major point of interest. In September of 2024, police put a local family under suspicion, the Denman family, because of DNA found from a shirt that was in the backpack. There was a hair that matched one of the daughters of the Denman family. Multiple items were later retrieved from the Denman's property on Cherryville Road in Shelby, almost 4 miles from where Asha was last seen. Unsurprisingly, there have been many theories about exactly what happened to Asha Degree. The most possible theory in my opinion is that Asha was abducted, which would make sense as to why she left the house, possibly looking for someone she trusted. The second most popular theory is that she was running away from home, possibly by the disappointment about losing the basketball game. However, this theory is very unfavored and unlikely. The extremely cold weather conditions mixed with the harsh rain and thunder would have made it very hard and improbable for a 9-year-old to run miles away in one stroll. Another less plausible theory suggests that the passing motorist actually abducted her, possibly getting out of the vehicle after she ran off into the woods to chase after her. This is highly unlikely because it doesn't suggest why she was on the road in the first place, or how she was dressed appropriately to travel with a packed bag. To this day, this remains one of the most puzzling, bizarre, and unusual disappearances in the United States. Nobody knows for sure why she left, or where she was going in the first place, or why she ran when she saw the vehicle. The matter is, we may never know. Our hearts go out to Asha's loved ones. If they are ever again to see this girl, who's described as a quiet, kind, and responsible individual, we can only hope that they are thankful for the 9 years that they did get to spend with her. Our hearts go out to the friends and family of Asha Degree, and no matter how slim the possibility, until she is found alive, we will pray for her safe return.